joined us today. Today, your trainer is an exciting personality, Mr. Shiv Kumar Jayachandran. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Boyle. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward for the session.
We are super excited to have you on this webinar today. And for listeners who may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your story?
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Just to give a brief about myself, I'm Shiv Kumar Jayachandran, and I'm basically a hotel management graduate before moving into healthcare finance background, and then came into the stock market since 2007 and became a full-time trader since 2015, and became a scalper in the last couple of years. So now I'm going to in the session, I'll be telling you what are the things which I do as a scalper and what are the things which you needed to do as a scalper to be a successful option scalper.
Great. It's amazing to know about your passion for stock markets. I'm sure the listeners will have a lot of takeaways for today's webinar. So before I ask you to start off with your presentation, let me request our listeners to follow a few basic rules to make this webinar super effective. During the presentation, you might have questions which you can post in the questions panel. In case the speaker is unable to address all the questions at the end of the webinar, you may write us an email at support@elearnmarkets.com. We'll be receiving all your webinar queries and we'll be definitely sharing them with the speaker. Please note, your feedback is extremely important for us. So once the session is over, please do not close the dashboard. A feedback form will appear.
Answer all the questions real time because I'll be concentrating mostly on the presentation, and since we have a time limit option scalper. Okay, so before we proceed, as a disclaimer, I am an NISM certified professional for equity derivatives. I am not a SEBI registered advisor. Any information on this presentation is for educational purpose only, and please do not solely trade based on this information. And as you all may be aware, options trading have the large potential rewards, but also has a large potential risk. So you must be prepared to take the risk and willing to accept them in order to trade in the markets. The past performance of any trading system or methodology is not necessarily an indicative of the future results. So please consult your financial advisor before taking any trading decision. Okay, now moving on to scalping. What is scalping? Many people think scalping is like a job wherein you just get into a trading and then get only few points and so on. Yes, there are possibilities. There is a scalping which will give you enormous reward, and at the same time you might get a small reward as well. As the name suggests, scalping is something wherein you would just get into a particular trade wherein you just try to make as much as possible during the price momentum, which happens anything between 1 to 3 minutes or 30 minutes. There have been trades wherein my trades would last 1 to 2 minutes. There have been trades which will last up to 15 minutes. But the most important thing is you needed to stick to the ground rule. One is your trade should not last more than 30 minutes. Because scalping, when you name a word scalping, this is more going to be associated with the buying strategies. As a buyer, we always have a time value which is going to be against you. So what I would suggest is anyone who wanted to be a successful option scalper, try to be a little fast in your approach and needed to know how quickly you are able to enter and how quickly you are able to exit as well. To make it even simpler, the option scalper is someone who doesn't trade. You will do several trades during the day using the charts of 3-minute time frame or a 5-minute time frame, and make sure that when your entry is so quick, your exit is also so quick. But I'll also tell you how you needed to trail it once you are in a profitable trade. That's going to be very key for a scalper, so that there will be few trades where you can make money quickly, $10 in a trade. There will be a trade wherein within a minute also you will be able to make $100. So scalping is all about how quickly you are able to enter and exit using a 3-minute time frame, and once you get a signal, how you can enter and exit as well. Moving on to the next one. Who's a scalper and who's a normal trader? Imagine this example. Nifty at 12,500. Someone as a scalper, what do? You would enter at $10 and then exit the same trade at 12 and 13. You will get several opportunities through the day. wherein you would enter the same trades again and again in a different time period or at different rates and so on. But you will still be able to scalp for 3 and 4 rupees every now and then, and you will still be able to make like 15, 20 rupees. The biggest question which will come into your mind is like, what am I going to do as a brokerage and how much charges are going to pay? Guys, for a scalper, you need not be worried unless and until you have an unlimited brokerage plan, especially on this option side. Why do I say that? Because absent scalper, you needed to be prepared to take multiple trades. And if you keep worrying about the brokerage and other charges, then you are never going to make money. For a scalper, anything above your break-even price, say for example, if your break-even price is 25 paise, and anything above that, then you should be happy to take that. But in a normal scenario, what a normal trader would do, he will buy 12,500 at like 10 rupees with like a 450 quantities, and he will try to book it at like 18 to 20, wherein he would just take like 1 or 2 trades in the day. Here, the problem is, since he is going to be trading like far OTM and the prices are going to be low, what is a guarantee that the price is going to go to 20? What if the 18 goes to 10 or 12? That's what we have been facing many a time, right? As a buyer, you will tend to see that the prices at which you bought, it's never going to be through coming down the same day. Even on an intraday position, we close most of the trades at loss. That's the reason scalper has the biggest advantage. With the so volatile markets, you tend to see the prices going up and down several times. And how you needed to enter, not just looking at this, we needed to look at the charts and then look at the support and resistance level. And that we can use it to our advantage to take trades. That we will see it in the later part of the session. A smart trade will always go with the scalping or a retail trading formula. If you are a buyer, you needed to choose which is going to suitable to you. If you wanted to be a scalper, try to be like quick enough to scalp several trades during the day. If you wanted to be having a method wherein you just wanted to hold it, unless and until it's a trend day, you're not going to have the price action moving towards whatever the target which you are setting up on. So, how a scalper should trade? A scalper should always create a perfect trade setup with a proper entry, stop loss, trailing stop loss, exit point, typically with a good risk-reward ratio. When I say a good risk-reward ratio, someone who is entering at like 100 rupees, and if he's able to scalp for 5 to 10 rupees per trade, that I would consider a very, very good risk-reward, considering he has a proper entry with a stop loss. Okay, we will come back into the stop loss and how you needed to trade if you're having a 1 lakh capital. But once your trade is above your, say for example, if you have bought it at something at like 100 rupees, and if your trade is going to 110 rupees, and what I would do typically, if my like break-even price is 101, I would try to place it at 102 and then trail it. There would be trades wherein it will give you like 15 rupee rewards once it is moving pretty quickly upwards. And if it is not in your favor, then there is every possibility that can hit your stop loss. But still, you will not be ending up making a loss. You will still able to make like 1 rupee profit on the trade. Even in that scenario, your capital is protected. That is the very key. Being a scalper, you no needed to risk too much on your capital. You can always play around with your profits. There will be few trades which will give you 1 or 2 rupee rewards. There will be few trades which will give you like 50 to 100 rupee rewards as well. Okay, who's a scalper? A scalper should be aware about the front allocations on each trade, understanding the market dynamics and its volatility. That's the reason what I would suggest you to do is we will go through certain time frames under which we will process. A scalper, as I said, it's a quick decision, right? So you cannot have a time frame wherein you're going to look at particular volume and the price action based on 5 minutes and 15 minutes and 1 hour candle. That is not going to help you at all. You need it to be real quick. And in Bank Nifty and Nifty, when you're trading in index options, we need it to be pretty fast, wherein we can use a 3-minute time frame. That is pretty ideal for a scalper. Even a 1-minute time frame can be used, but that will be like way too quick. That's the reason I always suggest look for like 3-minute time frame if you wanted to be a scalper and use it to your advantage. And the next thing is order execution plays a very, very important role when it comes to scalping. Why do I say that? Because if you are unable to place your order very quickly, then that is where most of the times we tend to think whether should I place an order or not. By the time you think about it, the price would have already moved 5 rupees up or down. In that scenario, your hesitation will become like a little longer and you will never be able to take a trade. And that's the reason it's always use the best trading platform to reach the best outcome. I always use most of my trading terminals would be in Nest, and the Nest has been giving me awesome results. So whatever the trading platform which you are comfortable with, you should be trading on those platforms. Moving on to the next slide, the scalper's key focus areas. The most important thing for a scalper is like you should have a target or goal to achieve your end objective. Before even you enter a trade, you are going to plan yourself what is that which you wanted to achieve when you wanted to enter a particular trade. Okay, when I say that let the target be proportionate, you need it to be reasonable with the capital in hand as well. Otherwise, it's just like playing in a casino. When I say someone who's entering with like a 1 lakh capital, and if you wanted to make some intraday return, I don't expect more than 1% return in an intraday position with a 1 lakh capital. What you needed to do, try to have 1% return and imagine how much percentage you will be able to make within a week and within a month. You will be amazed with like 1% return every day. Within 5 months, you are doubling your capital. What more you need? But someone who has a mindset of making like 15%, 20% in a day, that's where you tend to lose your focus and tend to lose your trades as well. The scalper's key advantage is having small returns, focusing on getting 1% return through your day, and you will be able to make consistent money. And the next thing is interpretation of the data. You needed to know how to interpret the data, what you're seeing as be it on OI, be it on the chart, or be it on the IV, whatever it may be. And make sure that you are updated things. That is like an important skill set that is required for a trader and if you wanted to be a scalper as well. Because if you're not knowing what's happening around you, and there will be a reason wherein the market would suddenly tank 50 points, 100 points, and will there be a recovery? Why the market is tanking 50 points and 100 points? What was the reason? You should be knowing it real time. And I will help you to know what are the things which I track on a real time basis to know about the news and so on. Moving on to the next one. So what a scalper should do? What I would ideally ask you to do, try to master one good strategy instead of focusing on many different setups. Yes, earlier I used to do this, wherein I used to focus on way too many things and losing the focus on everything. Then what I did, since 2015-16, I started to focus on a particular product, which is like the Bank Nifty and Nifty. And most of my scenario and the setups would be in Bank Nifty, considering the liquidity and the volatility that is available. It will help us to take like a good trade and also like make some quick scalping in intraday position. And my favorite setup has been the opening trade and then the follow the trend through the. Say for example, when I say opening trade,
বিরক্তি লাগে আমার
data which you needed to prior to the opening trade. Because some of the trades for me will start at 9:15 and end at 9:15. By the time you would not have had the opportunities.
প্রিয়াঙ্কা
কি বলবে আবার
জানি না
Not all. When you are seeing those kind of trades, it is very risky, and at the same time, when it gives you reward, it will look very beautiful. When it doesn't, it will also be like very ugly. So that's the reason for opening trade.
Recording
you just need to rely on the previous day data and some of the world market indicators and what's happening in the morning especially. So you needed to be prepared for all these things in the morning, and also once the morning trade is done, wait for some time to determine the trend for the remaining of the day. Once you see the trend, follow the trend. Don't be going against the trend. That's where like the scalpers lose a lot of money. Always it's important that you follow the trend through the day. And what can be good at any one setup if you can successfully run it in the long run, and it will also help you to further refine it. If you ask me honestly, 6 months back or 1 year back, my success rate would have been like 60 to 70%. Considering that I'm trying to refine the process every day, now my success rate has come to like 80 to 90%. What I'm trying to do now, I'm trying to value add some of the process of what I'm trying to do. Earlier, like I used to have like some green strikes and some red strikes on a particular day. Nowadays, I'm trying to see if I can close all the strikes in green. When I wanted to close all the strikes in green, I try to concentrate more and more on the entry. Because if I don't see a proper entry that is going to give me like a result, then I will definitely not enter a particular trade nowadays. So if it is going to give me proper risk reward, then yes, I do enter a particular trade. Moving on to the next one. These are the key things which a scalper should be there. Okay, as a scalper, many think that, okay, you can do several trades during the day and you needed to keep on doing it. No, that's not the scenario. Even a scalper, he cannot be an impulsive trader. And you needed to be patient and extremely important to be a successful trader. Because in a day, there would be few days wherein you won't get an entry at all. When you're not getting an entry and if you're not able to help yourself to see if there is going to be any trading opportunities available for that day, do not even bother taking a trade. Yes, you needed to respect the market. Market is supreme and there will be days wherein you won't get a single trade as well. But there will be days wherein you would get your first trade only at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock. Even that is an opportunity for you to enter. Wait for that. Wait like an eagle. Once you see your prey, then go for it. Otherwise, do not. And the next thing is always trade with the stop loss. Let me give my stop loss concept actually. I know everybody has a different stop loss methodology. But my stop loss methodology has helped me to be a successful scalper since the time I started to use my previous day profit as my stop loss. When I say previous day profit as my stop loss, what do I mean? Earlier, whenever I used to risk my capital, I always have a fear in my mind. Oh no, what if it goes to hit my stop loss? Again, I might lose like 10K or 20K on this particular trade. And that will force you to stop you to take the next trade. Then, 1 year back, what did I do? I did this, wherein I used my previous day profit as my stop loss. Imagine if I make like 20K, 50K previous day. Today, when I take a trade, I enter a particular trade based on my risk reward setup, and at the same time the entry if it is available. And in spite of that, if the trade is going against you, what is my stop loss? My stop loss would be the previous day stop loss, previous day profit. If my previous day profit is 50K, then I know I can hold it for a little longer even if the trade doesn't goes in my favor. That doesn't mean I will wait till all the way the trade goes to a zero or the strike goes to zero. No. Because you are already entering at an entry level wherein you feel that is a comfortable level to enter. And nowadays you would have seen the trades, especially in Bank Nifty and Nifty, the trade goes from 100 to 10. Again from 10 it goes to 200. Again it goes to 10. When you are going to have a tight stop loss, especially trading options, it is always going to get hit. That's the reason since the day when I started to play with my previous day profit as my stop loss, it's been absolutely working magic for me. The reason is I'm not risking much of my capital. I'm only risking my previous day profit. And good thing is, once you make money in a particular trade, then it is time for you to protect your previous day profit. How do you do that? You can use your morning profit to keep that as your stop loss for the remainder of the day. If I'm taking a trade in the morning, say for example with 1,000 quantities and making a decent amount like 20K, 30K in that particular trade, then from there on, I try to cut down my position rather than increase my position. But most of the things what earlier we used to do, when we make money in the morning, we always think that we are more supreme than the market and we try to take over leverage position, and we also think that, okay, market is going to reward me much more than this, and we take a bigger position. Don't do that mistake. That's always going to be very, very risky and tricky as well. So, as a trader, don't be impulsive trader, and the stop loss strategy which has been working for me has been working wonders. There could be a question which can ask, what if your previous day is a loss? What do you do? If my previous day is a loss, always it's going to be there, right? I'm not going to make money every day. There will be days wherein the market is not going to reward the way we wanted it to be. In that scenario, have a 10% of your deployed capital as your stop loss. And that is going to be very, very key. No matter what, if it is a hit, then just book your stop loss, book your losses and exit the position. Don't hold or lose or average your losing position. That's not going to be good if you're a trader. Imagine if you're
ঠান্ডা
losing
লেগেছে।
only 10% of your capital, it will always be very, very easy for you to come back stronger in the market. But if you lose 50% or like 70% of your capital in one trade, you are mentally like completely demotivated, and that's where like most of the traders feel, let me go all out with whatever the remaining money that I have in my account. And that's where they lose their complete profits all through. So always, what I would expect you to do, always trade with a stop loss. It can be this, or it can be like a 10% of your stop loss or of your deployed capital, but never ever trade without a stop loss. And most important thing is, once you know this is the stop loss at which you wanted to place it in the system. Don't wait for the system to go, for the price to go to that level for it to get triggered. Okay, that's very critical. And the third point, always ride with the trend. When I say ride with the trend, if the market shows you a direction, today if it is going to be like a market is trending upwards, and if there is an opportunity available, if the market moves sideways, that doesn't mean that you can go and start to like a buy a put there. I would still stick on to a concept of like buy on like a, whenever there is a dip is available, I'll try to buy a dip. When I say buy a dip, I will either buy a future on the dip or I will buy a call. So it is always very important that you always ride the trend and make sure that you are always on the trend side. And try to trail your profits, even if it is above your BEP. When I say BEP, it is nothing but the break-even price. So when I say trail your profits, if your buy price is around 100 and if it is already trading at like 105 and 110, then keep your BEP like if it is BEP is like 101. Excuse me. If your BEP is 101,
মরে গেছে
once it goes to 102 and above, then you're already going to make money on the trade. Once it goes about like 105, place your like stop loss at 102. Trail it. Once it goes to 120, then move your stop loss to 110. Have a 5 to 10 rupee difference and keep on trailing it. I will tell you like where exactly you should start booking your profits based on the chart that we will see later. And adjust risk and take trades with the trend. As I mentioned to you, it's always important, don't risk your capital on any given trade. And imagine, in that 5 trade, even if the profit is like 1 or 2 rupees on almost all the trades, still you're not risking your capital, you're making some money. And within a month, once you start trading and making some money, and if you trade all, if you're able to close 90% of your trades in green, you will not believe yourself. You will have made a lot of progress and your confidence will be like sky high. And at the same time, your overconfidence should not kill you. Keep your positions, whatever that you have been trading, at least to 3 to 6 months. Do not increase your position sizing. Be comfortable with the volume that you can handle first. And make sure that you are able to get consistent returns using the volume that you have been handling. Then add more position. Always look for patterns and change accordingly. Yeah, like when I say patterns, many would be wondering what is a pattern which he's talking about. Pattern is nothing but market has a tendency to work on a particular pattern every now and then. Okay, the same pattern which you would have been following from, like say for example, last April to May, June, July, you would have been making a lot of money. And the same people, I can ask, out of the 300 people or 500 people in the like a webinar now, at least I can proudly say that like yes, you guys would have made big money during like April, May, June, July, and August. But the same set of people would have lost big time starting from September, October, November, and December. The reason is market has changed the pattern, wherein our mind has tuned to a particular pattern and we have been following that. When you're making a loss, immediately when there is a pattern change, step back. Don't add more position. See what is happening around you. See what is happening in the market. If the market has not rewarded the way it has rewarded you in the last 3-4 months, that is the time for you to look at a new trend that is getting emerged. Then you needed to adapt yourself to the new pattern. There would be a days wherein the market would be continuously scaling up on every given day once the market opened. But all of a sudden you would see a trend change. Okay, then you needed to observe what is the trend and what is the pattern that is getting emerged. And unless and until if you are not able to like change according to the pattern, you're going to lose big time. I'm telling you. The best way is adapt to the pattern and you will get to see that pattern change every now and then that is happening in the markets. Why do I say that? Imagine 2015, the overall F&O turnover used to be like 3 lakh crore in a day. Even the best of days, it will not cross more than 4 lakh crore. And look at the volume that is being handled in the recent past. In the last 1 year, you would see an average of like 15 lakh crore, 20 lakh crore on expiry days. Nowadays, we see almost 30 lakh crore of F&O turnover is being done. And who's doing all this? Do you think everything is being done manually? I don't think so. Most of these trades are being done by algos. And in the future, we are going to be like fighting more with the algos than the manual trading. When you know that is going to be done by the algos, do you think every now and then this algos will be like fed by some information? Most of the things are going to be programmed. And when the programs, they are not going to have the same program run all through the year. That pattern is going to be followed. Every now and then you will see a new pattern getting emerged because the new codes and new programs will be created for the systems to take trades. And that's the reason I say always have a pattern, see the pattern that is getting formed and then trade accordingly. That's going to be very, very important. It can be a buyer, it can be for the sellers. It works according to that. So what are the other things which will help us to look at the patterns? We will look at those things along with the OI data. And most important thing, use terminals which are user-friendly and the ones which you are comfortable with. So for me, like I am comfortable with NSE Now and Nest Trader and a couple of other platforms. So whichever trading terminals which you are comfortable with, see what are the options available. Make yourself comfortable with those trading terminals because that will help you as a scalper to take quick trades and enter and exit as well. So make sure that you use the terminals which are very user-friendly and which you are comfortable with. That's very, very key as a scalper because that will add at least like 10 to 15% like more to your profits on an intraday basis. And the last thing is don't put all eggs in one basket. When I say don't put all eggs in one basket, don't have one account wherein you have like all your like 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs and use it for your trading. I normally like put like several accounts. That's the reason people ask me like, why do you trade in multiple accounts? One, it acts as a backup. There would have been many days where you would have seen like in the morning, Zerodha doesn't work for you, or there are certain trading terminals NSE Now doesn't work for you. Imagine if you are missing out a trade on those crucial days. Those are the days wherein even if one terminal doesn't work, you can always switch to another one, you can start trading. And at the same time, for me, once I start the day in a particular system, and if I make money in that particular system, I just close it and think that I'm starting the day fresh on another system. And that is a mentality game. Like a market is more of a mind game than being that. As a mind game, it helps me a lot because I know I've made money on this account. I'm starting the fresh on a fresh account. And there would have been days wherein we would have seen when we operate with a single account, we would have made money in the morning, 10K, 20K. What we do, we still try to do over trading. We try to see if there are opportunities available and we go and take another trade. And by the time, end of the day, from a 10 or 20K profit, we would either be in negative or in flat. Those are the days we will be repenting ourselves saying like, I should not have taken the trade, this trade and that trade and so on. Imagine if you would have been operating on multiple accounts. First account, you would have still made like 10K. And remaining trades in the other account, even if you're making a loss of like 2K or 3K, you'll still be like not feeling that much bad. The reason is you at least made some money on the day. And the rest of the thing is make sure if you're having one account with a large capital, there will be days you will definitely make some wrong decision wherein you would have deployed 30% of your capital on a particular trade. And if that price is going down, your ego will say, Shiva, why don't you go and average this trade? Because the price is going to come to the level and you're going to make money. What do you do? Invariably, you would not be noticing that you're deploying your entire capital on the trade without even knowing that it is not going to come up to the price. And by the end of the day, something which you would have bought it at 100 and kept averaging up to like 30 levels, it would have gone to 10 rupees. And that's where you would realize, oh shit, we have deployed the entire capital now and I don't have any more money to average. Should I exit this trade to cover my brokerage and so on? And what you do, you would have waited for the whole day. 90% of your capital would have got eroded. And just to cover your brokerage, you would just do cover position at the end of the day. That's the reason to not put all eggs in one basket. That's very, very key as a scalper. Moving on to the next slide. So this is the most things the commoners do. What they do, though trading may look like easy and fancy from outside, they try to be like making quick money and they just enter the market. And like everything happens in this market, right? When as a trader, once we enter into the market, initially like we try our luck, and once we know that yes, money is like quick money, we are able to get it, and like it is like an honeymoon period wherein you will get everything going in your favor and happening everything according to your trades. But they consider themselves like we are brilliant and we are invincible and we can do whatever we want, and they will try to add more capital to the system. And what they do, they try to follow the same fixed trade pattern or the strategies, and with the bigger risk, without even knowing that the same capital or the same risk what they have followed for a month or two, it's going to work for them in the longer run, and they will put the entire capital. First, they would have started with 10,000. Once they make money, like the 10,000 would have become like 15,000 within a month. They think that, okay, I can apply the same formula for like even a 1 lakh or 5 lakh. And they bring the money in. Immediately, they get to see that it's not working in their favor. They would have made 20K profit, but when they are making a loss, they would have made like 3 to 5 lakhs. And they would lose the focus and they will start to add more funds. It'll be like a gambling. Then you're not trading, you're gambling. That is not we wanted it. As a commoner or a scalper, once you have a right approach, you can always have your set of principles that will work for you. Just follow it with discipline. That's very, very key to be successful in this market. So when I was talking about that, this is the reason most traders fail. Scalping and day trading requires a lot of quick decision and it requires a lot of discipline as well. As I told you, there will be few trading days wherein you won't get an entry and exit at all. Those days do not even trade. There are 22 trading days in a month. That doesn't mean you needed to trade on all 22 trading days. There will be days wherein you won't get to see an opportunity. As a buyer, you would get opportunities very, very limited compared to sellers. When you are a buyer, the limited opportunities provides you limited opportunities to make money. But when it comes to your way, make a most of it. And that is going to be the key important thing. And you needed to be quick to take decision when you're taking a trade. If you're not able to take a quick decision, being a scalper, that will always be a disadvantage. Many traders initially lack the ability to make good decisions because initially you won't have the focus to track everything. That is very key if you are a trader. You needed to know what are the things which you needed to do and how quickly you are able to take trade decision and maintain your composure even when the trade goes against. So for me, anyone who says that like, yes, I will be maintaining my same composure, you treat both your profit and loss at the same length. Once you see that profit and loss at the same length, then you can always maintain the discipline. When someone says, I will book my profit when it goes to 10,000, you should be ready to book his loss also when it goes to 10,000 in a loss. Not wait till 90K and then like recover that 90K in another trade. That doesn't work. So you have to maintain your decision and make sure that you're able to trade with the composure as well. Just a minute. Are you able to hear me? Payal, are you able to hear me now?
I'm able to hear you.
Okay, because I just got a message, your audio is lost for a while. That's the reason I just wanted to confirm. Thanks. Okay, so moving on. We are good to go now. Okay. So moving on to the next one. Okay, so many traders who come into this market, they always try to think that, okay, OTM will give me big rewards and I can trade in the OTM. For me, when I say OTM, it is like out of money or out of call for the other people. For me, it is out of the market. Why do I say it is out of the market? It can give you rewards. It's like a gambling, wherein people think that like every expiry they come with like 10, 20K, invest in the OTM and then get double the rewards and triple the rewards. Never do that mistake. Because many think that quantity matters, buying a huge volumes of OTM and that can multiply your profits, and it cannot happen all the time. And some of the people I have seen, they have like made huge bets on the OTM and they have lost huge as well. This happens when you are doing a trade and when the trade is going against you. Imagine you would have invested like a 1 lakh in the market, and within a month, if you would have not followed the principles, you would have lost almost like 50, 60K. The last thing which you would have it like 20K in your account. And what you would do, you don't want to recover that 80K in like over a year or two. You wanted to recover that 80K immediately. Then the only thing which is left is you just go buy an OTM without even realizing that's not going to give you reward every time. And 90% of the time, retail traders are wiped out only in these trades. And it happens with everyone. It's not necessary that it happens only with retail traders. But OTMs are created to hedge a position for big players. And it is not just to go like a naked buying. If you're just doing a naked buying on the OTMs, you will always end up 90% of the time losing big money. So as a scalper, it is always better to trade in the other money and in the money for a quick 10, 20 points. Go with the trade and go with the trend and make some money rather than just like making a big loss on the OTM. So for me, OTM is out of the market. Moving on to the next slide, which talks about the greed and fear. Greed and fear are the most important parameters which impacts the P&L of every trader. Okay, so it's always tries to have a risk-reward setup which is based on your capital and based on your financial readiness. When I say financial readiness, anyone who thinks that, no, I wanted to earn full-time from the market and I'm going to borrow some money and take that risk in the market, then you're not prepared. When I say anyone who has a financial readiness, who has to say, I'm ready and happy to lose whatever the money that I can afford to lose. If someone says, I'm ready to afford to lose this money in this market, still it is not going to pinch my pocket or pinch my family, then yes, you can. And that way you will not have fear also to take a trade. And some of the people whom I have interacted with, they say like, sir, I have taken a loan of like 5 lakh because I already lost 2 lakh in the market and now I have taken a loan of 5 lakh and I needed to pay a monthly EMI of 40,000, 50,000. And imagine one trade goes against his favor. He is mentally completely down. And the next thing he will do is he wanted to think about paying the monthly EMI. And the next thing is how quickly he can recover that loss. That is going to put more pressure on you. That's a reason to not have anything which you feel that money you can't afford to lose in the market. Please do not bring into the market. As a full-timer, if you wanted to be, first you needed to make sure that set yourself as a part-timer, be in the market, make consistent returns, small returns. And over a period, once you are able to make a consistent return, and if it is not going to having an effect of your future life in terms of your daily needs, then you can always consider to be a full-time trader. And as I always say, each trade has its own dynamics, but many traders, based on their previous trade experience, doesn't want to change even if it is not working. Yes, there will be days. Earlier, I used to do a lot. I used to trade on everything. Imagine, you name it, I would have traded. First, entered the cash market. Then cash market was not working. Then entered the futures market. Again, there is high leverage, lost big sum. And then entered the options market. Again, lost without knowing the intricacies of like how the time value will come down based on the days getting reduced. So first, you needed to spend a lot of time understanding all these things. And say, for example, if those things are not working in your favor, then you will be happy to quit that and then move on to the next one. Don't keep following the same dynamics what you have been following over the years. And if something is not working, it is not working. You need to find something which is working for you and then do it. Earlier, I used to wait a lot on entering a single trade in the morning. I would think that, okay, from 100 it is going to go to 150, and I needed to wait for the whole day. With the time value, because of the theta effect, you will have naturally seeing the price getting eroded pretty fast, the premium getting eroded pretty fast.
কিভাবে তাহলে চেঞ্জ করা যায়
And if you are waiting for too long, then either you will average a losing trade or you will end up losing big money. So that's when I realized that is not working for me. Then I have to find another way where it works for me. And that works when I did it with the scalping. Okay. So who's a successful trader for me? A successful trader will always be trading with the target and trade for a target with the emotions on equal balance. When I say emotions on equal balance, you have to treat both your profit and loss at the same level. And trader will always, you need to have a target in mind. Do not take it, like say for example, it just doesn't mean that you have to have a target of 10k and you have to achieve every day 10k. There will be days wherein you would make only 5k or 6k, still be happy about it. As long as your MTM is 3, don't can take that money away from you. All the money which comes into your account is
তাও দেখবেন ফালতু ছেলে একটা শালা ঘুরিয়ে তারপর ফাটিয়ে দেবো মেয়েরা
your money. So always have a target in mind and trade for a target with emotions all equal balance. When I say that when you are trading these trades, yes, effort and discipline is required. Whatever the effort which we put in, it will always be result, giving us a result. It can be a positive or negative result, whatever the result may be. But when we follow a process and a discipline, we will definitely get results. And if you follow the discipline, that will definitely reward you big time in the long run. Why do I say that? Out of 10 times, if you're following the process and the discipline, out of 10, 8 will give you good rewards and 2 will go against you. If you're following it with discipline, the 2 will not have impact on your P&L. But sure that you follow very successful in your favor, or if you're not getting a conviction, and so that is something. Knowing what are the things which you are watching upon, you are always going to make another loss there. As a trader, you needed to make sure that you know what you're doing and make sure that your presence of mind is there. And say, for example, if some trading system, and there are different types of traders who trade with, because many cannot be a scalper or many cannot be like a positional trader. If this one doesn't work for you, you needed to look for alternatives. That's very important. And there is no holy grail as such. Don't keep running around to look for a holy grail, because I have seen traders who have been making consistent money. Still they go look for something else, like whether I'll be able to make better than this one. No, don't do that mistake. You have already found a way to make money and just stick to that rather than keep looking for another one which is not going to jump on it, and make best use of the opportunity that is available. That is a key for the execution. Can a part-timer do scalping? Yes, you can do, because scalping is all about being in the trade for more than 3 to 5 minutes, maximum of 15 to 30 minutes, right? So as a part-timer, you don't get to trade the whole day. You get to see the systems for 1 or 2 hours in the morning or 1 or 2 hours in the afternoon. So make use of the opportunities when it is available. So any individual who is working and trading in an office between someone who is having a capital of 1 lakh, you can definitely pay 1 to 2% returns, 1 to 2,000. Imagine if you're able to do that even on 1 or 2 days in a month, and you're already making 10. And imagine you're doing the same thing for 15 trading sessions, and forget about the expiry day trading. You're still making it to take 1% return. It completely erodes your most pretty volatile. And if you're entering the option market, I would expect not to trade on expiry day initially, because you needed to see the pros and cons that is happening around in the expiry day. And at least it will require 6 months to a year to enter into an expiry day trade if you wanted to be an options player. Imagine an example here. Someone who says, I'm going to buy 32,000 CE. Will you buy it everything at one go? No, I wouldn't do that. try to stagger your buys when you're getting a buy signal. Try to stagger your buys between 90, 100, 80 and 70. In this scenario, your average would be somewhere around 83 to 84 and the max quantity would not have exceeded 80 to 100. Imagine in a 1 lakh capital, all your risk is like around 8,200 investment. And considering up to 18%, even if you're willing to take a risk, which is about like 240 quantities. And what is the maximum risk which you're talking about? 18 to 25%. Assuming this, all the price goes to zero. We are not going to let that happen. If you're like a pattern is like when you're having the right entry, your average is like 83 and the strike is going towards like the downwards even after like all the requirements. The maximum risk that you can afford to take is around like 20 to 25 point. It should be like around 60 to 65. You should be able to place your stop loss and exit it all through the day. So it gives you multiple that can happen on any.
এই বোকাচোদা আমাকে একটা এটা বলছে না যে কি স্ট্র্যাটেজি ইউজ করছে, খালি বক বক করছে। আমি স্ট্র্যাটেজিটা বল না শালা। আমি আরে তুই আমাকে কি শেখাচ্ছিস? স্ক্যাল্পিং আমি বুঝতে পারছি না কি বলতে চাইছিস, তাও আমি কিছু যদি পাওয়া যায়। বোঝাই যায় চ্যাংড়া ছেলেগুলো নিজেকে জানা কি এক্সপার্ট ভাবে, জেনে গেছে তো বিরাট একটা। কালকে আরেকটার সাথে করছিলাম ওরে, তাহলে এমনভাবে বলছি জানো ক্যালেন্ডার স্পেড কিছু জানে না, উনি একজন জেনে গেছে বিরাট বড় কাজ করে দিয়েছে। ক্যালেন্ডার স্পেড মানে এই এক্সপায়ারিতে তুমি বিক্রি করে দিলে, নেক্সট এক্সপায়ারিতে তুমি সেম দামে কিনে নিলে, তো তোমার কোনো মার্জিন লাগলো না। ওই সামনের মাসের এক্সপায়ারিটা যে হচ্ছে, যেহেতু টাইম অনেক দূরে, একটু ধীরে ধীরে ওটার টাইম বিল এই হয়, মানে টাকা দামটা কমে। আর এই মাসের যেহেতু আজকে ধরুন এক্সপায়ারি হচ্ছে, ওটা জিরো হয়ে যাবে, কিন্তু ওটা জিরো হবে না, ওটা তোমার 60-65 টাকা থেকেই যাবে। তো সেটাই হচ্ছে কথা। বকর বকর শুনতে ভালো লাগে না।